YouTube, it's your boy Sean Matrai here with the Duel Links Casey Cup tier list. Yes, we are back again. We're going to discuss the tier list. What do I think is meta and what deck should you be playing for Casey Cup? What will eventually get hit? And so on and so forth. With that being said, let's get into it, shall we? Alright, so first of all, I want to tell you, I'm redesigning the logo for our channel. It's going to have Pokemon in it too because I have a lot of Pokemon content planned. I'm going to be uploading some this week, but be prepared for a ton after the Casey Cup. Okay, so just get ready for that right then and there. So we're going to be streaming Pokemon. We're going to be streaming a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm loving Pokemon Pocket, so just get ready for that. There's a lot of that and a lot of Duel Links content and it's coming as well. So we have a ton of content in both sides of the spectrum. Anyway, with that being said, let's get started. Alright, so first is Winwich. Now, this deck is Rogue. It's not very good. Hold on, let me shrink myself down here a bit because I may be taking up a little bit too much of the screen here. Okay, so Winwich is not what I call very good at the moment. It's Rogue. It's like bottom Rogue. You know, the deck does what it does. Pretty much where it's like, alright, you know, it gets a big field, you end on your Diamond Bell, your Crystal Wing, or you end on High Speed Boy, Clear Wing Rider, if you have the combo for it. And then you tag into your Clear Wing Fast and that, sometimes a Crystal Wing on top of it, or Necrofusion, but overall, the problem is the deck just doesn't go well going second. If it did, then it would be a lot higher than it is. But overall, not very good at the clear junction moment. Next, we have Unchained. Now, Unchained is in a weird spot. It's actually, I feel, a decent rogue deck. And the reason why, this game won't let me to do it, is because I think it actually has a pretty solid matchup in the Salamangreat. And the reason why is because, again, Salad's, a lot of its destruction of the Mirage is to destroy. If you end with a bunch of bodies on the field, they can't destroy. I mean, well, they can destroy, but then they get to float off of it. It makes it harder for Salad to deal with. Now, some Salad builds are playing Dweller, which makes it a little bit worse for Unchained. But also take into mind, Salad can run techs like Neo Sealing, IDP, Nibiru. Now, I know on first glance, Neo, you're going to say, but Sean, they have Bailings. And you're probably right on that one. However, you know, if you resolve multiple of them, then they're not going to necessarily have multiple Bailings every time, and they can't use two of it in the same turn. But more importantly is IDP and Nibiru. Nibiru really does hurt Salad, but it's limited in the decks that can play it. So Unchained with Nibiru and IDP can actually be pretty hard for Salad to deal with. And nobody really plays around Nibiru, so go figure if you want it to be a decent Salad counter. So I'd say it's still probably mid to low range rogue, but it's something that people have tried, I've seen. And yeah, it's actually a decent answer to Salad, but obviously I still think we'd have hero problems with Rainbow Neos and stuff. I think they could still get overwhelmed by heroes, but and just the pure offensive beatdown. But yeah, maybe there is a little something there. Mid-range rogue. Alright. Also, another issue is the bird matchup isn't as favorable, but if you have like IDP Nibiru, it can make it a little bit better because nobody really plays around Nibiru, so that's an advantage for you. Alright, next. Time Thief. This deck is sewage waste. It's not good. It's not good. It's like worse Winwich in my opinion, as far as it makes a really good board turn one, but turn two, you're not really doing things, and it kind of loses the super poly. So Time Thief Pros, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. It's not really great. Doesn't really have a good matchup into anything at the moment. So, you know, I mean, it's chilling in the sewage waste, but, you know, we'll get out some point. Oh, trust. All right, this is not good. All right, Tri-Brigade. Tri-Brigade is high-end rogue, if not tier 3-ish. Again, I still feel it's in the same spot that I felt it's in for like the last month and a half. It's the best rogue deck in the game. It is very, very strong at what it does. It's got an amazing turn one, whether you play Pure or Bird Up. Pure can end on Herald, DDL, alongside Revolt with a Shirag Revive. And can even have like Rugal on the field at the same time. They could also, and that's off of one card rescue cat. They could also with Bird Up and on like assemble Nightingale with a bunch of other things on board, potentially Revolt setup. So if you're playing Bird Up, it's very, very good. I think it's like Fringe, almost tier 3. I almost want to put it there, and we might end up putting it there. But for right now, I'm going to keep it at like the highest end Rogue. And the bottom end of tier 3, the high end Rogue, doesn't really shift too much. So it's kind of like in that paradox there, but still a solid choice for the KC Cup if you want to play it. But keep in mind, you're going to have to be a little bit more dedicated to the deck. And if heroes start teching for Salamangreat, like against the graveyard, not that you really care about Crow, because you could play around Crow quite easily. But if they start teching things like different Dimension Ground or Necro Valley, then it could be a little bit problematic for Tri Brigade, because then you start to care a lot more. So, you know, it's in a really good spot right now. I think it's like tier 3 to high-end Rogue, so very, very good. We'll see where it ends up at the end once I categorize everything. Sky Striker, again, is a Rogue deck. It's not top tier. Heroes can OTK through Eagle Booster with Rainbow Neos, so again, that's not safe. And you setting back row is definitely not safe into Stratos. So with that being said, you just kind of hope they don't have Stratos and the Rainbow Neos. And if you take that kind of a game plan, most of the time it doesn't end well if you're on the Sky Striker side or on any side. So at that point, it's probably in the Rogue category. The Salad matchup isn't really great either, because the issue with Salad is that if they're smart, they can use Paro and Sanctuary to kind of grind it out and gain a ton of life. It makes Sky Striker harder for them to kill it. Plus, if you end with Salad can deal with the back row really easily. And if you end with multi-roll on the field, then they automatically threaten it with Foxy, Heat Leo, and all their removal that they can deal with Pyro Phoenix. So, with that being said, Sky Striker is not really top tier right now. It also doesn't have a good matchup in the Birds either. So, like I said, there's really nothing favorable for you to play, and you got to really be dedicated to do well with the deck. So, with that being said, I think it's kind of like around high to mid-range Rogue at this point, somewhere in there. Not really good in the meta at the current juncture. It's kind of like okay-ish. Speedroid again is like one of these mid-rogue decks, mid to low-range Rogue. Like I said, the turn 1 board's insane, but again, like much like Windwitch, going turn 2 is the issue. So yeah, and also Crow being in the meta doesn't really favor it either, because Crow, one well-timed Crow can really slow you down and not make you end on the end board you want to. So yeah, like I said, high to mid-range Rogue, but the boards, if you're really dedicated, like I know my boy Mastercards is, you could do really well in the deck, and you can end up some really, really ridiculous fields. Another thing is its matchup on the Birds is pretty good, because you have Kite Drake, and Kite Drake can permanently negate the Nightingale on the field, so that's something you want to know. If you could deal with the Robin, you have an out to Nightingale, but like I said, it's a pretty okay-ish matchup in the Birds. So yeah, leave it there. Super Quants are I'm sorry, Vince Buck. I don't know if it's a cog meme or it's here, but it's on the fritz. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of on the fritz at this point. It's on the fritz. It's on the fritz. It's in the sewage waste. You hate to see it, but it is where it is, and unfortunately, it's here. It's here. Super Quantums are just not good. It's just not. It's a really cool, fun deck that can actually play through Disruption going second if you know what you're doing. The Veiler kind of hurts, but again, it's a hero. Super Poly say hi. They can easily out it like a Great Magnus. They can get multiple bodies over, like with the Shining and Rainbow Neos, instantly threatening to get over 4K. So that's a problem as well. So like they can out the Great Magnus. With 6 materials, it would be annoying because they wouldn't be able to Strato Search or Liquid Search. That would kind of slow them down. You couldn't Super Poly because it's unaffected, which is nice. But again, you still have to get to that point. You need to go first. If you're going second, then it's kind of like, we can go second, but we need the right hand to do it, and we need to not lose the hand traps in the process. So, again, I think it's kind of here. We'll see. Maybe it's in Cogme, but it's like on the fritz. I'll put it ahead of here. I'll put it here. Somewhere in here. Alright. Next. We have Shiranui. Shiranui is, again, kind of like... I categorize like all three of these decks kind of in the same spot. Shiranui might be the better spot than these though. The issue again is Crow is in the meta, which again is not great for Shiranui. Losing Spectral Sword, the graveyard kind of stinks. Also, again, similar to the situation I talked about with Tri Brigade, they start running Necro Valley, and then you start dealing with, well, it depends. Like if they have negates to protect your Nightmare Phoenix from going off, it's not going to be pretty. But Necro Valley, you know, Different Dimension Ground, cards like that can really mess up your strategy, and Crow as well. So again, kind of in the same spot. It's a rogue deck. I wouldn't be surprised if someone tops with it, but like I said, it's not really good. Suship is rogue. Again, this deck can theoretically end on a bunch of things. Literally could. It honestly could. The thing is, with Suship, and I go back to this over and over and over again, the problem with Suship is that, again, you need the right hand to do things. You can end on Dweller, which is Dweller's very good against Salamangreat, obviously. And a bunch of disruption, including IDP, and you can play Nibiru. So there's a lot of things going for that in terms of dealing with Salamangreat. Hero is a different story. If you go first in the Hero, you better pray. But because of its solid matchup with the Salad, I'll leave it in the Rogue. Alright, next we have Shaddoll. Shaddoll is not top tier anymore. It is... Alright. Does it go behind Try? Alright, I'll tie it with Try. I'll tie Try and Shaddoll as the best rogue deck. Maybe they just end up both moving them back to tier 3. We'll see. But Shaddoll, the problem with Shaddoll is the hero matchup is very bad. It's not bad. It's coin flippy. Yeah. A lot of the things that they do is kind of coin flip. That's the problem. And there's Droplet is in Salamangreat, which is, you know, I mean, they have to draw it, but you have Sal players playing Droplet, they're playing Mourner, they are playing outs to Winda, which is a problem. Even Tribute Summoning, well, it's hard to deal with Winda. There's ways with Beat Bison, but it's really situational. So, like, yeah, like, they can summon a Bison out of the deck and then, like, flip up summon a Phalanx, cross wipe it, and then negate the Winda. But like I said, that's a really situational scenario. I would not rely on it. But everything Shaddoll does is coin flip. That's the problem. Like, I mean, Salad, it's more able to go into going second, I feel. So, like, if you go second into Salad, it's doable. Like, but you still need Shaddoll Fusion to make things happen. And they still have a balance, which you can play around. But overall, and also they go for the Transcendence setup. It might be a bit harder for Shaddoll to deal with, personally. I really would market it as a really strong contender because I think it's a lot of coin flips going in the meta for them. So I don't think that they're as high on the tier list. Maybe they're 3 alongside Tri Brigade. We might put it there, but again, if you're playing Shaddoll, it's because you're dedicated and you like the deck. It's also a timer deck, and I feel like you're going to have to use more effort to do well with it than not, because you can have this up and down run in the Casey Cup where it could be win one, lose one, win one, lose one, just because you're getting a lot of bad coin flips. Hero is a 100% coin flip because, again, any smart Hero player is going to know not to fuse into Shaddolls. Otherwise, then they just make it free reign. But, again, if you go up against a good Hero player, then it's probably not going to do as well. So I really feel like Shaddoll is sitting in tier 3. It still has a decent matchup in the Birds, as I said before, but I still think it's like tier 3 roguish. So, yeah. Salamangreat is tier 1, and it's arguably the best deck of the format. Okay? It is insanely good. The turn 1, I know people are saying it's not the best, but you're thinking about it from a build-a-board perspective. They have a very good turn 1 in terms of, I want to survive and play control. So generally turn 1, you're playing a control game. You're trying to survive. And then turn 2, you just explode. Turn 3, you just explode on your opponent. Or turn 2, depending on who won the coin flip or not. And then you just end up winning the game that way. Salamangreat is definitely, like, to me, the best deck of the format. And everybody's, like, kind of teching toward it. Which is why you're seeing hero players start to run Kite Roy, Different Dimension Ground, and Necro Valley. Because they don't want to get OTK'd. And 3 Necro Gardener, which is also very good in the mirror as well. Because they fear Salamangreat. And when you start to fear Salamangreat, it is also, it becomes a situation where people are teching for it. Another thing is the matchup in the bird is actually good for the most part. It's actually, well, it's not good, but it's actually not bad. It's actually pretty decent. I would say it's kind of sort of kind of favorable, like 55-45. And the reason why is you don't need to draw tech cards to win. It can actually be won without techs. Especially if you go first, you could start winning with Paro and Sanctuary. And then going second, you can also control the game with Paro, but you also have a good amount of techs like Crow and Droplet and Droll that can deal with them. And you can also like do plays like Tribute Summoning Bison sometimes to win. So even Circle could be somewhat of an out to them if you play it correctly. So it's all about how you play that matchup, but a skilled Salad player can do it into birds as well. The issue with Salad is, like I said, it's a very high skill cap deck, as frequently a lot of players, and this is actually memes for it as well, have been timing out on it. So the mirror is quite tricky. It's a very technical mirror. I'm going to tell you straight up, I'm playing this in the KC Cup, so you're going to expect me to play it. So if you want to see that, you're going to watch me play this in Stage 2. And we still have to finish the Stage 1 climb. That will be tomorrow night, but tonight. Well, today's Sunday, so technically tonight. So make sure you're there for that. But yeah, Salamangreat is definitely, to me, the best deck of the format. Everybody's teching toward it. And it's really good tier 1 deck and a really good pilot's hands. It's even better and it's even better depending on the pilot. So if the pilot's really good, it's really even better than it even is right now, which is scary. Okay, Sacred Beast is garbage. As my boy Sai would say, the Sacred Bricks. Okay, it do be the Sacred Bricks. This deck is not very good at the current moment. It's just doesn't do anything. I mean, yeah, you could run like Thailand's Terrain, I think it is, to negate all your opponent's monsters, prevent them from activating, but you have to see it, and if you don't see it, you're losing, so bye-bye. Not good. Preda Plant is good, on the other hand. This deck is tier 2. And it deserves to be tier 2 because right now it's just inferior to the tier 1 decks. It is. It doesn't have really any advantage into Salad, I feel, or Hero. Because again, Preda Plant have to see their techs to beat Hero. That's kind of the problem. And that's why you see players try and tech it Neos Fusion to search it to out the Arm Dragon set. Because it's annoying to out unless you have like a Dark Hole or Minecon. Because then you're basically banking on them to have a Veiler, not to have a Veiler if you go Unicorn or Ning to try to beat it. So at that point, like, you're struggling to Hero. And going, while the deck can OTK really easily, gain a ton of advantage, and set up like a Robin with like Dragostapelia and a Preda Blast. It's like, the issue is, and they still have one of the best hand traps in the game, the main issue is the deck really does struggle into, I mean, it can get not struggle, but it can get overwhelmed by some of the top tier decks, like the decks above it, like Salad and Hero. And Salad kind of overwhelms it in the way that if they go turn 3 and they survive, then they can just destroy all your follow. And at that point, you're losing the game. You have no Ponix on the field, you'll have no Fusion Recycling Plant, and then you're kind of just left with nothing. And then Salad just wins at that point because they're going to out-advantage you. So at that point, I say it's tier 2. It's still really good in the pilot, good pilot stands. People will top with it. It's like tier 2, tier 3-ish in my opinion, but still a little bit behind the other decks. But Preda plant lovers, don't get too upset because, like I said, if the Casey Cup comes in and nerfs some things, this deck will go back to its former glory. But just right now, it's a little bit behind of what the other decks can do at the moment. But still really, really good if you wanted to play it. Prank Kids is ass. Sorry. It's garbage. It's still no skill yet. Still the same spot, guys. We lose to Dweller, and Dweller's in the meta. What else do we lose to? Well, we just lose to ourselves. So, yeah, moving on. Phantom Knight is Rogue. Alright, Hunter. Alright, I'm just going to leave it here. I'm not going to really go much into death. You end on your Requiem. You get your quick play spell with the Alchemic Magician. You do your thing. And then turn 2, you break Sword Pop and do all your things. I'll leave it in Rogue. Alright, Hunter, you win. Alright, Dragon Maid. Dragon Maid is a Rogue deck on the higher end side. Dragon Maid is good. If you gotta really be determined to play this, though. The problem is, like, how should I say this? The hero matchup isn't really great because ending on Shao doesn't scare heroes. They just super poly it away. And then after that, then you have to fear Shrouders as well, or them just overwhelming you with too much advantage, and then you start having to use Earnest early, forcing their tidying, and then you're hoping to have Hospitality for the follow-up or draw distant attacks. It's not always going to happen like that, and I think that's the biggest issue for Dragon Maid as hero. Salad's kind of okay. Like, if Salad goes first, Dragon Maid doesn't really fear anything that they put on the board, so, like, you can start really building up the advantage just as fast as Salad does. Again, that kind of comes down to a skillful matchup, and one small play can decide it. But, yeah, like I said, I don't think there's a really strong benefit to play it. And then, again, Preda plant's still around, so you have to feel the Hydra. So, yeah, I don't think there's really a benefit to playing Dragon Maid. I should also add of it. But, yeah, I think it's kind of right here. Okay, Bird. Bird is meta. It's tier 2. I think it's tier 2 because I think a lot of Salad players are not going to know how to play into Bird. If you do know how to play into Bird, then just makes you stronger as a Salad pilot. Again, I think it's still tier 2. I think that a good Bird pilots will do well. I think it's on the bottom edge of it. It's definitely not tier 1. It'd be argued as tier 3, but I think it's like at the cutting edge of tier 2. Again, Crow is still an issue, but overall, in Droplet, I think the deck is still quite strong. And I think that, Bird is a deck that can win duels really quickly. So, there's not going to be excess Bird mirrors, which I think a lot of the Bird pilots are going to be happy about because they don't have to deal with that as consistently. But yeah, definitely a tier 2, bottom tier 2 deck, I feel. Infernobles is top tier. It's tier 3. If you're a really good Infernoble pilot, basically if you're JVZ, you can fly this deck up to the Guardian Wings Angels in 2 days. But yeah, really good. Can end on Dweller now. It has Herald plays, Power Tool, Braver Dragon. It's insane in the deck. Can get you essentially multiple different equips and set up your entire hand. And yeah, really, really good deck. It might actually be tier 2, honestly. But it's back on the tier list. With Eclipse being less than popular in the meta. This deck is garbage. It's even worse than Prank Kids. And that's not good. That's not a good thing. Yeah, moving on. This deck does nothing. So, yeah. Odd Eyes OTK is a cog meme. This is a cog meme. It's cool. You could do a lot of things with it. I would be shocked to see somebody top with this. But, I guess it's possible someone tops with like a clear wing Odd Eyes version with harmonizing, but it's just not great at the moment. Just doesn't do enough. And going second can be quite rough sometimes unless you're playing the meme version that just stacks the heck out of your opponent. But then what are you doing going first except praying to God that you survive on Ego Booster? And that's pretty much it. Other than that, just enjoy the memes, sit there back and relax, and watch yourself lose most of the games that you play. So, cog me. Gizmek. I have not seen more than 2 Gizmeks on the ladder, so yeah, we're leaving this here. I still don't know about this deck too much, but again, the fact that I haven't seen it, it pretty much is giving me that hint. Ghost Trick My gosh, this is a cog meme now? Maybe bottom and rogue. That might be too much. Mid to bottom rogue. I mean, how the mighty have fallen. The biggest problem with this is Salad and Hero. If Salad goes first and you don't set up Necro Valley, it's kind of rough. And at Hero, you kind of lose going first and second. So, yeah, Ghost Trick went from being one of the best decks to barely relevant at the moment. Still a good bird matchup, but the problem is if you don't consistently beat any of the top 2 decks, you're just gonna lose, I feel, more than less in this meta. Dragoonity is probably mid to rogue tier. Again, kind of in the same spot with Speedroid, Shiranui. I call this like the glop of decks. See this there? Deck that can pop off going first, can do a little bit going second. They can end on Shao plus a Rubarar and the counter trap going first. Going second, they have Whirlwind, but like I said, it's not always reliable. So it's kind of like in that range of decks that could pop off if, played right, really given a ton of time to do. But yeah. Gemini. Gemini is a good rogue deck if Icy's playing it. So if Icy's maining this in the KC Cup, then it's definitely a really high tier rogue deck. It could do some really crazy things, especially going second because you have Gemini Smart and you have a ton of plays you can do, including Gear Free and getting Swordblade back to end. Turn 1, it's not necessarily the best, especially going into Hero, but there are some things that can be done to hopefully survive with a Kite Ride and go on going forward. But definitely a really good rogue deck. Alright, I see. That's for you. We put it in high tier rogue for you. Alright. Flora. Flora is tier 3. This deck has Nibiru access, which is really good. Again, how consistently they see their text will determine on how, effective they can be. But I would not see any reason that a few of these builds would not be topping. So we're going to put Flora here. And this accounts for all the floors. The Invoke Flora build that just came out. The Dogma Flora. Basically whatever variant you're playing. And including Mix's World Chalice floor. Urgent Schedule. Earth Machine is bottom rogue. I mean, I don't know if it's here or it's just a cog meme at this point. But, the fact that this deck really hasn't been topping many tournaments. It just hasn't been doing really anything at the moment. It just kind of indicates the deck is just not strong enough in the current meta. Which is a shame because the deck has a ton of fun to play. So it's kind of right below the glop, I would say. I would probably put Suship ahead of this. But, yeah. Kind of in that area of decks. Next. Alright, we already went over Dragoonity. Crystron is a cog meme. Again, ton of fun to play. I want to get max with this. We'll see if we can do it. But, yeah. Really, really fun deck to play. Really fun to enjoy. I'm going to leave this under cog meme for now. And, yeah. Just a ton of fun to play. Alright, Dogma kind of goes in with the floor pile, so I don't really need to talk about that. Dark Lord is... My gosh, this deck is not good. Sorry. I'm sorry. But this deck, it just loses the Super Poly, man. It just is what it is. If you went on the first Dark Lord and they Super Poly you, it's not... It'd be one of those days. It just is not good. I mean, maybe you have a decent matchup with Salad. I don't know. I mean, if they can goddess out it, that's another problem for against Salad. But, we can cope, Dark Lord fans. We can cope. We'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back someday. Sometime. Who knows when, but hopefully soon. Alright, Cybers. Or should I say, Dark Fluid. Is a cog meme. His deck is just not good. Okay? It's almost in sewer choice. It's getting there. It's on its way down. And that's not a good thing. But yeah, practicality, this deck just does not do enough to be in the meta. Maybe I'm wrong if D1 actually kills me for putting it here, but Maybe I'm wrong, but again, with the excessive hand traps in the meta, it just does not do favorability things for going for Dark Fluid going forward. A lot of people are playing Veiler. A lot of people are playing Mourner. Some people are playing like different Dimension Ground, which could really screw up this deck. It's just not great at the moment. Alright, so we already talked about these three. Chronomaly, yeah, I mean, come on, not good. It was rogue before a few, decades when it came out, but now it's in the sewage waste. Just not good enough. It's turn 1, it needs to be better. It's just, whatever it does, it's just not good. Chronomaly bros were devastated. You can make Dweller, however, but, is it reliable to make Dweller? Probably not, because you still need the right hand to do it, but at least we're somewhere. It may not be here, but we're somewhere on this list. So keep the vibes up high. Cyber Dragon is a cog meme. Again, this deck is good going first, going second, not so much. And Salad can play right through an Omni, so it's not great. Hero can just super poly it off, so it's not great. So yeah, we're chilling out in Cogmeat for now. Crystal Beast is tier 3. Yes, I can finally say this deck is top tier. And the reason why it's here in top tier is because it has a very good turn 1 against Salad and actually can beat Hero. If you do the cope, end on Gion Trainer, draw 3, and hope to not get hit by a Veiler, but that might be your best play. But it might actually work because not every hero list is on 3 Veiler. So that might actually work out for you. The other issue, too, is Necrogarda exists, which they could dump multiple of in the grave, and Kite Roid exists, so if they stop you from multi-getting, so does Rainbow Life and All Life, then that becomes a big problem for Hero, or Crystal Beast. Still, I think this deck is good enough to be in at least the tier 3 zone. It has a good matchup into Salad, and it has a good matchup into Bird as well. So with that being said, I will leave it here and decent against Preda Plant, depending on what extra deck you run. So I will leave it here for now. Ekin, I would love your opinion on this, but I'm going to put Boral in Rogue, probably somewhere around here. I think it's actually a decent deck. The problem is, Super Volley exists, and in order to beat Hero, I still feel like you need to go for the Silver Rocket lines to rip out the Dark Abyss counters so you don't lose the Super Volley. Yeah, so pretty much that's what I think you need, and I think you really need to have the Quick Launch in hand or a combo extender that allows you to get there. But really, really cool. I think in a really good box hands, aka Ekin, Abdamalik, they can do really well and get far. Battling Boxer is another really good rogue deck, and I think I would actually put it ahead of Dragon Maid, crazy enough. This deck is actually really, really, really good. Well, the problem is, I should say really, really good. It's okay into Salad. It's actually solid, especially if you're going first. If you're going second. And you may say, going second? Why? You want to go first. The issue going first is that if Salad are smart, they can set up Beat Bison lines. So that's why I say you'd rather go second. Because they really can't threaten you enough to stop all the extension you do. It's a Bird. You also win going second because you can yoink their Nightingale. And against Hero is the biggest issue, which is why this keeps it out of the top tier zone. This deck loses hard to Hero. That's the biggest issue. But overall, still a solid, really solid rogue deck. Probably the high tier rogue. I would not be shocked to see one top. Balderrock is probably a mid-tier rogue deck because this deck can do okay in the Salad. The other issue, though, is Foxy and that it can pop it. But other than that, it really doesn't have any other benefits going into the meta. Altergeist, Crimson, I hope I'm right. I'm putting this in, mid-tier rogue. I think, you could beat heroes with the back row. Well, not the back row, but I think you have, depending on the text you play, you could actually have a decent matchup in the hero. And I don't know how the Salad matchup is. Crimson, you place the deck. Put it somewhere that you think is right, because I'm not the best judge of this. I don't really play guys like that. Agent, again, sewage waste. Doesn't do enough. It's not good. Agent fans, we'll get out of there. We can go turn 2 eventually, trust. And then last but not least is Hero, and it is Tier 1. I mean, I think this is pretty much self-explanatory. It's pretty much up there, right, with Salamangreat. It's like 1A and 1B. And Hero just does it all. They can run whatever text they want. They can draw 4. They get Super Poly. They can summon Regeki every turn. That can activate multiple times in the turn. So overall, this deck is just really, really good. And there's really nothing to explain else about it. Alright, so that's it. YouTube, that's my tier list. Again, I think Hero and Salad, I'm going to really... Like, if I could draw a line here... I'll draw like a slash. I'll do that. So, basically, I think that Hero and Salad are going to basically do just dominate the KC Cup, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be a Hero and Salad dominated cup. I would say, if I was going to say something, I would say I think a good 70% of the KC Cup will be dominated by these two decks. Entirely. Like, nothing's tier 0, but these will be dominated by these two decks. I think you'll see about, maybe 70 is a little bit high. I would say 60% of the KC Cup is probably dominated by these two decks. 60 to 65. Tier 2, I would say about maybe 20%. You'll see about these. Say about 10%. And this is about 5. So that puts us about 95. And I would say about maybe we get a little bit higher than this. Maybe just 10. And kind of get somewhere in this. So, kind of fluctuates here. Maybe this is around 5. Should I put this down to 5 and probably put this up to 65? And that's probably what you're looking at in terms of what people are going to play in the KC Cup. So, yeah. With that being said, that's my video. If you liked it, please like, comment, subscribe. We want to get to 2K subs. We're almost to 1,700. Help us get there. Greatly appreciated. Also, live stream tomorrow night. We're back tomorrow. 7:30, you know my time. So, make sure you're there. Be square. And yeah. Till next time, it's your boy Simon Matrai signing out. Peace. Bye, YouTube.